Hi guys, thanks for coming in person and online. My presentation is called Click with Confidence, Empowering Secure Online Decisions. My name's Chloe, and then this presentation was made with contributions from the League of Women Voters. My name is Chloe. My email is youthcommunications@lwvor.org. If you need to contact me for anything, I am a communications and political science major down in Southern Oregon. I am passionate about a variety of issues: social justice, youth empowerment, voter education, and health equity. I work with a variety of civic engagement groups from around the state, and I have multiple years of experience with the League of Women Voters of Oregon. I'm the Youth Legislative Communications Director through their Youth Council. I'm also an Oregon Student Mock Election Outreach Assistant. Beautiful. Just a reminder, again, I will also be talking about some handout materials for our friends online. There are digital copies available of materials. And then if you put them in private chat, you'll get them, right, Robin?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. So just a reminder, we will have digital copies, but I will mention some handouts. So what is misinformation? We talk about this a lot when we talk about online. So misinformation occurs when someone unintentionally shares false information without the intent to harm. So an example of that could be your friend says the latest local bill will raise taxes because that's what she saw on a social media post. What is disinformation? You're gonna hear me say mis and disinformation a whole bunch today. Disinformation occurs when someone intentionally shares false information with the intent to harm. So an example of that would be your friend lies telling you the latest local bill will raise taxes because she knows that's the only way you will support it. So what's the difference between mis and disinformation? We've got them on the screen. They both mis and disinformation refer to the spread of false, misleading, and out of context information. However, they are not the same thing. So misinformation is false and misleading without the intent to harm, and disinformation is with the intent to harm. An example of misinformation could be reposting a satirical news article, a reporter error, and then with disinformation, that could be a hoax, a conspiracy theory, and video manipulations. So why do people create disinformation? Why do they do it? First is political agenda. So purposely using misleading tactics to persuade people a certain way. Profit, generating revenue from ads and e-commerce, how people get paid, create disinformation to make profit. And then pride and pranks, so just seeking attention for individuals who thrive on chaos, but do not care about the substance of their lives. So what makes mis and disinformation dangerous? Why are we talking about it? Why is it important to know about? Here are some things that make it dangerous. First thing is emotional appeal. So content that appeals to our emotions rather than reason trigger our reflexes, and we can jump to conclusions that are not supported by facts. Motivated reasoning. That's content that reinforces our existing bias is easier to believe and accept as true. And then just beware of the easy answers. So big and confusing problems explained with easy answers offers a shortcut that bypasses our critical thinking skills. So it's important whenever you see information online to ask questions. Great. So here are some samples of recent media headlines. So The Hill shared an article on September 9th. Organizers warn of severe Disinformation campaigns targeting Black voters. CBS on the 8th has fake news, social media, and the death of truth. There's some couple others. So this is a big topic being talked about in lots of different places, and it's a really big issue. So when in doubt, when we occur mis and disinformation, the number one rule is just don't engage. Engaging only furthers the disinformation to reach more people. And don't argue. Creating a defensive posture pushes some people deeper into their corner and it makes them harder to communicate. So it's best just not to start an argument, and then don't amplify. So commenting, sharing, hitting the dislike button on Facebook, there's now the angry reaction that you can do to posts. That all furthers them in the social media algorithm and pushes them to reach more people, even if it is the dislike or the mad face. So it's best to not amplify and engage with them, because of them that only furthers the misleading content. I'm gonna figure it out. I kind of saw it click. I'm gonna figure it out. So when in doubt, part 2, because we have some more things to talk about. It's important to not embarrass the individual. Ridiculing someone won't result in a positive or receptive response. That again goes into the argumentative, pushing them farther in their corner. And then not to contradict. So fact checks are important, but when you share them without context or more discussion, they just reinforce the distrust in the source. And then don't repeat. Language has power, and we shouldn't succeed that power by using terminology created by the disinformers. So what is the impact of mis and disinformation? Again, they both have the potential to be extremely harmful. In recent years, mis and disinformation has negatively impacted our elections. Both of them have contributed to inaccurate information about the election process, which has disenfranchised voters, damaged trust in our democratic voting system. According to the Brooks Institute, the public's trust in our democratic system has significantly declined. The implications of this show that the decreased trust has led to decreased civic engagement. The Brennan Center for Justice identifies that mis and disinformation is often spread about polling, ballot drop locations and times, the voter requirements, how to register or cast your ballot, all those things. So it's very helpful to refer folks to the local county clerk or the Secretary of State's website to ensure accuracy or vote 411. In addition to causing disruptions to our democratic process, it has been shown that mis and disinformation can have negative effects on our health. It can erode trust and distract us from other important issues. So how can we counteract incorrect information? It's important to cite sources. So citing reliable sources to counteract the mis and disinformation being spread. So this is according to the UGA libraries. A reliable source will provide a thorough, well-reasoned theory, argument, etc. based on strong evidence. Evidence is really important to have. I will talk about later some reliable fact-checking websites and or how to find nonpartisan election information, but just a general guide to reliable sources are government websites, scholarly and peer-reviewed articles or books, and then trade or professional articles and or books. Next is statistics. So a 2016 Research and Data Insights survey found that 88% of Americans are more likely to trust a source accompanied by a chart or data analysis. I know I have been a part of that before, where I'll see something online and see, oh, there's a bar graph, there's a pie chart, it's got numbers, it has percentages. I just automatically think it's true. That's not always the case, as we can see. Yet, only 34% of Americans were actually able to analyze whether the data was relevant or plausible. So like I just said, charts and data analysis can be manipulated or taken out of context to support a certain bias. Data literacy helps individuals to determine if a cited data gives an accurate look at the topic. And there's a variety of ways you can learn about statistics by taking a class. There's classes through the public library that helps counteract misleading charts and or data. And the next is building trust and credibility. So when it's appropriate to actively refute mis or disinformation, credibility is important. A 2017 study shows that individuals are more likely to respond to corrections of mis and disinformation if it actually comes from someone they know. Another key to counteracting mis and disinformation is understanding the recipient. So according to a Sage Journal article, the success of correcting mis and disinformation depends on the recipient and the relationship to the information being corrected. Strong prior beliefs determine the way humans process new information. So that means that if someone has a deeply held belief that is backed up by mis and or disinformation, it just becomes harder to counteract those with those beliefs. So when that is the case, repeated conversations that center empathy and calm dialogue are important. It's important to set boundaries and realize that one conversation may not change a person's belief, but it does lay down great groundwork for continued dialogue on the topic. Where can you find nonpartisan election information? Vote411.org. That is a free nonpartisan voter registration, candidate, ballot, local, state, national election information for every state, and it's through the League of Women Voters. There's also another site called votesmart.org. That is a citizens organization that provides free, accurate, and unbiased information for electoral decision-making. So when we do come across something that we know is disinformation, if it's blatantly not true and it is intended to harm. So we have an example of if a photo circulates showing a politician posing with an offensive sign. I'm going to talk about Snopes in just a minute, but an ineffective response would be responding, Snopes just says that's not true. Responding to misinformation with just a fact check and or news article is not effective or persuasive, rather, whether online or in person. Instead of reporting the results of the fact-checking site, use the original sources and backup information cited in the article or report to move your discussion forward. So ineffective response, if you do decide to respond, would be that photo has been doctored. You can see the original here and you can share the original photo that it's been doctored. So here are some credible fact-checking websites. So newslit.org is an e-learning platform to learn how to identify credible information, seek out reliable sources, know what to trust, dismiss, debunk, all those things. All these articles, all these websites, we do have printed copies over here. If you'd like to take one, online folks, printed, you don't get printed copies, but you can have a digital copy if you leave your email. So that's one of the paper copies I'll be talking about today. Then we have Snopes is another fact-checking website that the league has deemed credible. Then there's PolitiFact, which is a Pulitzer Prize-winning fact-checking website, which is run by editors and reporters from the Tampa Bay Times. Factcheck.Oregon is a project of the nonpartisan Annenberg Public Center of the University of Pennsylvania that fact-checks statements of major U.S. political players in the form of TV ads, debates, speeches, interviews, news releases, all that good stuff. And then we are on to OpenSecrets.org. So this is a nonprofit, nonpartisan research group that tracks money in U.S. politics and its effect on elections and public policy. And then the long line at the bottom is fact-checking through the Washington Post. So it's a website accompanied by a column in the Sunday print edition of the Washington Post that fact check statements by local, national, and international political figures. And again, we do have handouts and online friends can get email copies. So lateral reading is really important when we're talking about mis and disinformation. So lateral reading means using multiple news sources side by side to verify information. It allows you to take an advantage of the research done by professional journalists who may have been present at the event and who maybe were able to interview key players and experts. So checking the content using several mainstream sources that do individual and original reporting. So it's important to seek news sources that have an accountability mechanism like an editorial board and that publish corrections to their reporting when it is necessary. Using fact-checking sites and their list of original sources for your topics is also really good lateral reading. The sites that I just mentioned, you can fact-check across the site, see what comes up, and then always follow up with any links to original documents, sources such as event videos, transcripts, court documents, all those kinds of things. Okay, so this is also a handout, and I will admit it looks a little stretched out on the screen. So we do have digital copies for people online. So this is called a media bias chart. And a media bias chart ranks news sources for both accuracy and political bias. This one is by All Sides Media, and they're a multi-partisan organization that ranked these based on scientific analysis. So while their definitions of bias and accuracy are subjective, the best of these sites are very transparent about their process and keep a public database of their articles that were used in the rankings. These charts are very thought-provoking, but are they useful in countering disinformation? The answer is kind of. It's a yes and no answer. So yes, when you run across information from a source you don't recognize, a media bias chart can help you get a rough idea of what you're looking at and how reliable it is. And then viewing your own favorite sources on a media bias chart may surprise you, and you can consider the bias of your own media diet. I know the first time I did this, I was honestly a little surprised at what I was consuming. And then the no side of it is using a media bias ranking isn't very effective in any argument, and it's less convincing than using a fact-checking site. So this is more for your own knowledge and wouldn't be mentioned in any sort of conflict. Now we're on the activity. Wow, I got through that quick. Oh my goodness. Okay, so activity. I have a couple questions prepared that I'm going to ask you. They are true or false. I love doing questions. I was a presenter at the League of Women Voters of Oregon Council, and I had a quiz, and it was pretty popular. So it's back, but it's going to be true or false questions this time. And online people, they are only true or false. So if you put true or false in the comments, I can turn around and see it. So you can play along with me, and it's going to be fun. There we go. Question number 1. Misinformation is unintentionally sharing information without the intent to harm. True or false?
True.
Okay, thank you. I see one.
Georgia and Terry say it's false.
You want to play along in here?
Yeah, true.
Oh, great. Okay.
2 for true, 2 for false.
Let's click on it. Okay. Okay. Shall we move forward? No? Yeah.
All right.
Ready? Oh, it is true. So misinformation is false, misleading, or out of context information that is spread with the intent to harm or deceive. Disinformation is spread with the intent to distort the truth, to harm or deceive people. So the easiest way I've remembered in between both of them, which one's which, is dis makes me think of deceive, which then I know is with harm. So a little trick if you are curious on this misinformation, what kind you are encountering at the moment. So true or false, you cannot report disinformation to anyone.
False. False. False.
Okay. Online people, I'm reading. Okay, George.
Got one.
Thank you. False, Harry, thank you. I love it. I love it.
Neighbors and family that could use some handouts if we had those.
I think so far we're all agreeing that it's false.
Oh, we all are? Oh,
I think so.
Okay. You wanna click forward? Yes, it is false. I'm gonna go upstairs because my letters keep getting out. So it is false. So where can we report disinformation? So you can report it to disinfo.org. That's a project by the Common Cause Education Fund. You can email lwv@tips.junkopedia.org. And then there's also a text tip line that you can text tips to 859-374-8741. So it's important that when you see something that could mislead or suppress voters, and it's important that you say something. I also teach elementary school students, and I always say, if you see something, you gotta say something, you gotta come and tell me. So it's really important that when you do see misleading content online that could harm our civic engagement, to say something. So if you do a submission through reportdisinfo.org, it is secure, it is confidential, and it gets reviewed by a team of nonpartisan voter protection analysts to help stop cyber suppression. The best way to deal with mis and disinformation is to not engage. Is that true or false? Oh, true. Harry says true.
I'm gonna say true.
I'm saying false.
Okay. Okay, thanks, online friend. I can see it. Cool, cool, cool. Okay.
We have kind of a split opinion on this one.
Well, I'm gonna read it one more time. The best way to deal with mis and or disinformation is to not engage.
True. Okay, now I get it.
Oh, there's not, I'm getting it, just sometimes it helps to hear it one more time.
It does.
Okay, I think we're ready to click it.
Come on.
There we go. It is true. So like I mentioned just a little bit ago, engaging only furthers the dis and misinformation to reach more people. So that goes into the algorithm portion. No matter if it's a dislike, it's a mad face, maybe accidentally click the heart. If you're commenting and saying that you don't agree with it, it all doesn't matter to the algorithm. It thinks you like it and it's pushing it to reach more people, so more eyes will see that content. So the best way to deal with it is just to not engage, and then you can report it on the sites mentioned just a second ago. Okay, the next question, and I think it might be our final question, is there is no software on social media sites to flag false information.
I'm gonna say false.
Okay.
False.
Okay. Jean, you have a guess?
I would imagine that's true.
Okay, good. Online people? Oh, good. Okay, good. True. I'm glad I picked questions we all get to learn from. I love that I can see the answers right here
Yeah.
too, that's so cool. Okay. Sure. The answer is that it's false. There is software on social media sites to help flag false information, and I'm gonna talk about them right now. Good. Woohoo! Okay, so this is from Meta. Meta owns Facebook, Instagram, and Threads. Threads is a newer social media site. It's very similar to Twitter/X. And so this is directly from their website. They have initiated a remove, reduce, inform policy. So the remove piece is when misinformation has the potential to interfere with or suppress voting, Meta will remove it. They do this because it undermines expression and voice. Reduce. So when one of Meta's fact-checking partners rates something as false, it reduces the content's distribution in feed and other places so fewer people see it. And then the inform piece is Meta applies notices to fact-checking posts and sends notifications to the people who did post the information. That way, people can see what the fact checkers concluded and decide for themselves what to read, trust, or share. So that is an image on the blue background image is this page has repeatedly shared false information. Independent fact checkers said the information is false. So it'll give you the option if you'd like to go back and get away from the site, or you still can continue to follow the page anyway. And then if you click the blue learn more, it'll bring up this slide, which shares why the independent fact checkers for this image found that this was not testing viewers' stress level, but it was just an optical illusion. And then the original post looks like just an optical illusion. And it gives you all the information. You're able to delete the post. You can learn more about fact checking, and then you can see that you shared that information. So then that goes back to the inform piece. It'll let you know, and maybe you want to delete it. Okay, I've reached the end, but I'm gonna plug one more thing real quick. I mentioned it at the beginning. I am from the LWVOR Youth Council. So if you have any young people in your life that may be interested in doing civic engagement work, we do voter registration drives. We do youth lobby days. We have done conferences before. What else have we done? That's what we do?
Absolutely.
Okay, cool. So all sorts of things like that. If you know any young people in your life, that would be, what's the starting age, 15?
16.
16, starting age is 16. I'm in college, so college kids can do it. Anyone in your life that you know, tell them that they should join the youth council because I think we're pretty cool. Thanks for listening, guys.